If an FBI director lies to Congress about what he did to Trump, what else has he done? What else has he done to a lot of people? And what else has he covered up? When an FBI director lies to Congress, he lies to us. You'd think Democrats would care, but they don't. Democrats don't mind being lied to, and they don't care if it's the FBI director or anyone.
If you want to start prosecuting anybody that's ever lied to Congress, I mean, you would have literally almost nothing else that you could go after, because people lied in front of us all the time, even people under oath.
A former member of Congress just said everyone lies to Congress under oath, and he says it's no big deal, and he doesn't want anything done about it. It's like one of the most rotten things you'll ever hear in Washington, and you hear a lot of rotten stuff. A congressman saying, yeah, we're all lying to each other. We all know it's a crime, and who cares? He's saying you're going to have to lock up everyone. Okay, let's start with James Comey then. Might as well start somewhere.
The old saying, what comes around goes around. I think it's time for Republican colleagues to say enough is enough, and we are going to push them and do it hard.
These people have the nerve to threaten us. What goes around comes around. We didn't start this. You did. It's coming around, and it's going to come around so hard, hopefully it'll be the end of it. And if it's not, we'll just blanket pardon everyone like Biden as Trump goes out the door. I bet James Comey wishes he had one of those. They didn't think Trump was going to punch back, and this is only the beginning.
I think there'll be others. I mean, they're corrupt. These were corrupt, radical left Democrats, because Comey essentially he was worse than a Democrat. They weaponized the Justice Department like nobody in history. What they've done is terrible. And so I hope there are others, because you can't let this happen to a country.
When your opponent declares war, you don't surrender, you don't roll over, you fight back, and fight back to win. Win so convincingly there's never another war. If Trump doesn't fight back, the Democrats are just going to keep putting more and more of our people in prison. And that's why their people want this to stop before it starts.
Your sources tonight are telling you what, John Solomon? What could be next?
I think other government officials are in danger of being indicted in the coming weeks, some in the FBI, some in other parts of the government. This is the beginning of a large accountability roundup in government.
This was an 8-year MAGA dragnet. And now the media is calling Comey's indictment revenge, like it came out of the blue, like it's a bad thing, like it's uncalled for.
Is this more about justice or is it about revenge?
It's about justice, too. It's not revenge. It's also about the fact that you can't let this go on. They are sick, radical left people, and they can't get away with it.
The media never really explains revenge for what, do they? They arrested a president, his White House chief of staff, his chief advisor, his national security advisor, his trade advisor, his campaign manager, his campaign consultants, his lawyers, his CFO, and even his valet. They arrested his entire inner circle. Could you imagine if Trump had arrested Barack Obama and everyone around him? And not only that, they spied on his campaign, framed him as a Russian operative, staged a coup, impeached him twice, raided his house, leaked his tax returns, fined his company $500 million, stripped his business license, tried to strip his name off the ballot, and did such a poor job protecting him, a sniper shot him in the head. Almost happened twice. So you better believe there's going to be payback. What they did to Trump can never happen again to anyone. And the charges they brought were unprecedented and completely untested. Comey was indicted for lying and obstruction. We know what those crimes mean. We didn't have to invent them. And Comey thinks lying and obstructing are a big deal. He put Martha Stewart in prison for it. You think she feels sorry for Jim?
We're calling a bitch hunt. I was a trophy for these idiots. Those prosecutors should have been put in a Cuisinart and turned on high.
We know Comey's a leaker. He admitted to funneling classified information to the media through his buddy, Dan Richman. Now he's charged with lying and obstructing a congressional investigation. The Comey-Mike Flynn sting was also about lying. Flynn lost his career and spent millions on lawyers. He never lied. It was a trap. Comey's no Boy Scout. He was begging Biden to imprison Trump for anything and everything.
Evict him, bar him from future service, have the prosecutors, the local prosecutors in New York, pursue him for the fraudster that he was before he ever became president, lock him up for the garden variety frauds he did there, but don't give him that center stage, that dominant role in our national life, just down the street from where Joe Biden is trying to heal this nation.
Is that how a former FBI director should be talking about a president? Earlier this summer, he was posting seashell assassination codes. He was downright giddy about seeing Trump in a prison yard.
We would just put him in a double wide somewhere out near the fence, out in the grass. And he would eat there, he'd shower there, he'd exercise there, he'd be away, as Danya Perry said, from general population. But it's obviously doable.
The man's dangerous and deranged and destroyed the credibility of the Bureau. Now, no one trusts the FBI. It's going to take years to rehab. When Trump got indicted, Democrats were all saying, see, no one's above the law, remember? They were popping confetti in newsrooms. But now they're throwing a funeral.
The federal government just told Donald Trump, you can't do that. You are a fraudster, sir, and you can't do that. It's insane. It's the type of stuff that happens in a banana republic when you just go after your political enemies.
It's just extraordinary. This indictment reads like a mafia case. That is a watershed. That is a line that we have crossed now in this country.
This is really a great day for America.
This is such a horrendous moment for the rule of law, for the Department of Justice, for the country writ large.
They're just mad Trump's doing to them what they did to him. They can complain all they want, but no one cares. No one's even watching the media. And what are they going to do about it? What are these scoundrels going to do about it? They just have to beat the case and win an election. That's what Trump did, and that's what they have to do. Beat the cases and win the election. Politics is about power, pure and simple. Do Democrats really think they could just arrest their way into power and not get a taste of their own medicine? Now they're begging for it to stop when it's just getting started.
It's very, very unfortunate that, again, Donald Trump and his people who are supporting him refuse, again, to acknowledge that and move on.
Obama's dirty CIA director wants us to move on. He's trying to lay a guilt trip on Republicans. He's trying to appeal to our higher angels. Why didn't he appeal to Hillary's higher angels when he found out she was using the Russia hoax to steal the election, huh? He just went right along with it and helped her. It would actually be immoral if Trump didn't defend himself. It would be suicidal for himself, his party, his friends, and the country not to hit back. This is biblical.
He just sees, hey, eye for an eye, right? This is sort of Old Testament justice in his head. Eye for an eye. You indicted my guy, me. I'm going to figure out how to get back at you.
Chuck's right. Old Testament justice. What's more righteous than that? What's more simple than that? Nothing. I don't care what you call it, revenge, justice, retribution, accountability, or an eye for an eye. It's happening, and they can't stop it. And some of these guys might not go to prison. Some of these guys might beat the rap, but that's not the point. They have to be put through the ringer. They have to face what we faced, so this never happens again. The Comey case is in Kamala country in Eastern Virginia. That jury pool is going to be blue-pilled. It's just going to take one Jimmy Kimmel fanatic to hang that jury. And the judge is a Biden appointee. So, well, it could cut both ways. If he's acquitted or the case is tossed, okay, what can you do? But if he's convicted and the case is overseen by a Biden judge, what are Democrats going to say then?
Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a Fox News Patriot today. Click join to find out how.